This video will show you how to replace the front brake flex hose on a Chrysler Town Country. This will be located behind your front wheel. Let's get into it. Okay friend, let's get started on our job. Now the first thing we have to do is safely raise and support the front end of the vehicle so the wheel's off the ground. Now after we've completed that, we're going to remove all 5 of our 19mm lug nuts so we can remove the wheel. Now that we have the wheel out of the way, we have a clear view of our front brakes. We're looking at the caliper. Let's make our way along the back side. Now as we look along the rear of the caliper, or the inboard side here, we can see up along the top we have our 10mm headed bleeder screw. I have my collection receptacle under here. We're going to open this bleeder screw. We'll wait till we see a trickle of fluid, and then we have to make our way inside the passenger compartment. Now at this point, I'm going to go inside the passenger compartment, I'm going to press the brake pedal all the way down to the floor, and I'm going to hold it there with a pry bar up against the seat. That's going to force fluid out through here, and then it's going to eventually stop, which is exactly what we need to see. As we move down towards our 15mm headed banjo bolt, when you start removing this, commonly you are going to still see fluid making its way out of the caliper and that flex hose. Just be aware of that. Let's go ahead and remove the banjo bolt and separate the flex hose from the caliper. Now as far as the rest of this flex hose, it should be fairly simple overall. We're following it up to its upper mounting point. Now there is a small bracket leading off of the body of the vehicle. Up above it is where we can see our 12mm headed brake line fitting. Let's go ahead and carefully break this free. I've sprayed it with some penetrant. If you need to, you could try holding onto the bracket with some pliers in case it starts to flex. I'm just going to use a flare wrench for this, 12mm as I mentioned. Now that I have it broken free, I'm switching to an opened end wrench. Just a quick note about loosening this brake line fitting. Typically more fluid will come out of the flex hose. Make sure you have your collection receptacle under the area. Once you have it separated, just a quick inspection of the brake line and the brake line fitting. We want to make sure nothing's damaged. This looks good. Now that we have that line disconnected, up along the top of this metallic bracket, which is attached to the body of the vehicle, you're going to find that you have a small U-shaped clip. It has a small lip. For this, I like to use some pliers. We'll carefully give it a wiggle and slide it out and away from the body of the vehicle. There's that metal clip. A close inspection confirming it's not rotted or weak. We'll set that aside. Let's take hold of the flex hose. We'll give it a wiggle, slide it down and out of the bracket. Now if the flex hose does not fall out of the bracket, you could carefully tap on it. There it is, friend. Prior to installing any brand new part, let's make sure we clean and inspect the mounting area. Since my brake line's very close, I'm going to be holding it away, and I'm also going to hold my gloved finger over the tip. Now at this point, I'm going to be using a wire brush. A quick scuffing here, just want to make sure nothing's rotted or weak. That looks good. After cleaning that area, we're down along the caliper now. This is where the flex hose would be. We need to make sure it's clean. Looking at this, I can see that I still have some of my pre-existing gasket in place. We're removing it. We never reuse any old gaskets. A quick wipe with a clean rag. I don't like to use any detergents here. I don't want anything making its way inside my braking system. Close inspection. Now it's time to install the front brake flex hose. Let's focus along the top. Now in this area, close to where this clip is, this is going to have to slide up inside the bracket. If you were looking closely, you're going to find that there's sharp corners and then there's a rounded corner. That's kind of like an alignment point. Now, if we were looking at this bracket, you're going to find that you have sharp edges and a rounded corner. It's typically going to be over on the edge, kind of close to where my brake line is. So now as we bring our flex hose in, we're gently twisting it so we can feel exactly how it needs to fit into position. Once it feels as though it's sitting flush, I'm going to pause on putting in my metal clip. I like to start with the brake line. The brake line needs to be at least started in so we know it's going in straight. We can move the brake flex hose around as necessary. Now that that is started in, it's not tight yet, but I'm going to make sure that this is bottomed out just as I did before, and then I'm going to put in my small metal clip. Now it's time for my metal clip. As far as this is concerned, I have my tab facing up. Slide it onto the groove on the flex hose. Go ahead and tap that into position. After a couple light taps, we'll just make sure that that flex hose is secured in place and make sure we tighten our brake line. Okay, right there is bottomed out. I like to make sure these are nice and tight. I don't want to have any brake fluid leaks here. This looks good. Now it's time to install our front brake flex hose to the caliper. I have my banjo bolt and one of my brand new gaskets. I'm sliding it through the flex hose from the outboard side. On the opposite side of that, I'm putting on a second brand new gasket. We never use any gaskets. Go ahead and start that in place. Once you have it started in position, go ahead and lightly bottom it out. The torque for this is going to be 18 foot-pounds. Take hold of the flex hose, make sure it does not move on the caliper. Now the next thing we'll do is make our way up inside the passenger compartment. We're going to remove the brake pedal depressor. After doing that, we're back at the bleeder screw. Go ahead and open this up. We're turning it counterclockwise, and we're going to wait until we see a steady trickle of fluid making its way out of the bleeder screw. Okay, so I do have a steady trickle of fluid coming out of here. I'll go ahead and close this off. Now at this point, you'd want to make your way inside the passenger compartment. You're going to pump up the brake pedal, make sure it feels firm. If it feels soft and squishy, more than likely there's still air trapped in the system, in which case you'd want to do a manual brake bleed. Assuming it does feel good, go ahead and clean any mess and reinstall your bleeder screw cover. Let's get our wheel in place. Once you have the wheel in place, start on all 5 of your 19mm lug nuts. Bottom them out. Get the wheel back on the ground and then torque each of them to 100 foot-pounds. Torqued. Okay, friend, we finished our job. We've bled the brakes. Now the next thing we want to do, of course, is to double check to make sure we have no leaks. We're going to pump up the brake pedal, confirming that it does feel firm, and then take the vehicle for a road test. Thanks for watching. Now, prior to removing the master cylinder cap, I want to make sure nothing falls inside. I'm just going to use a clean rag and a quick wipe along this outer edge here. Let's get started on the brake bleed. We're at the master cylinder. We always like to remove as much fluid from inside the master cylinder reservoir as possible and replace it with brand new fluid first. Go ahead and use a fluid extractor. Locate the cap, remove it, a quick inspection of the seal, confirming it's not swollen or damaged in any way. This does look good. Let's go ahead and remove as much fluid from this as possible and replace it with .3 or .4 brake fluid. There we are. Just wipe down any drips. Reinstall that cover. Now when we start our brake bleed, we're going to bleed the brakes in a specific sequence. We're starting on the driver's side rear. We're going to make our way to the passenger side front. After we bled both of those brakes, we have to stop at the master cylinder. We're going to top it off. Continuing on, we're going to make our way to the right rear and then the left front. The process will be the same for each of these. So of course I have my collection receptacle here. I'm going to remove my bleeder screw cover. I'll use my collection receptacle, a 10mm wrench on the bleeder screw. Now before I open this, I'm going to ask the person inside of the vehicle to pump the brakes approximately 3 times, and they're going to hold it. They're going to let me know they're holding it, and I'm going to open up the bleeder screw. We're paying attention in this area. We want to make sure we see only clean brake fluid making its way out with no air bubbles. Repeat this process as many times as you deem fit. Go ahead and pump the brake pedal, please. Okay, you can release, thank you. At this point, I feel as though I've completed the brake bleeding process on my driver's side rear. I have only clean fluid making its way out and no air. Obviously, on your vehicle, repeat the process as many times as necessary. Now, just as I mentioned, the next wheel that we're going to move to after we've finished cleaning and installing our boot here is to our passenger side front. We're going to repeat this process there. All right, on to the passenger side front. Passenger side front now. I don't have a bleeder screw cover here. You would want to remove it. We have our collection receptacle. Go ahead and pump up that brake pedal, please. Go ahead and pump. Go ahead and pump. This is looking good. Let's try it one more time here. Go ahead and pump, please. Okay. You can release, thank you. Remove my collection receptacle. We'll clean up any mess. As you saw, I had only clean fluid making its way out, no air. Once you clean, obviously, if you have a bleeder screw cover, reinstall that now. Now at this point, you're going to want to make your way to that master cylinder. We want to make sure we top it off so it doesn't go low and of course draw in any air, in which case we'd have to re-bleed the brakes. Once you've topped off that master cylinder, you're going to the passenger side rear. Go ahead and bleed that caliper the same way as I showed you on the driver's side rear. After that, you're making your way to the driver's side front. You're going to bleed the front caliper the same way I just showed you at the passenger side front. After that, just make sure you top off that master cylinder one last time. Okay, friend, we finished with our vehicle brake bleed. At this point, of course, we want to make sure we clean any mess. We're going to double check for leaks. The torque for each one of your wheel lug nuts will be 100 foot-pounds. After you've done that, go ahead and pump up your brake pedal, take your vehicle for a road test. Thanks for watching.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.